right, welcome back, Hawks. Our goal today in this video is to talk about effectively part 4 here. Part 4 for our house elevations, which is where we're going to be adding a roof. Now, in previous activities, I would have suggested to take your 4 elevations like you see here, and maybe after doing a Google search or referencing the PowerPoint on the particular assignment, we need to decide what kind of roof you want to place on your house. There are multiple different styles of roofs. In fact, if we look at this little picture here, there are a number of them. But in order to keep things simple for this particular activity, I would suggest that you focus on using either a hip or a gable. Now, for ease of demonstration, I'm going to be selecting a hip roof. The gable roof requires a little bit more drawing, but it kind of really depends on what you want the appearance of your house to look like. Okay, so I'll be using a hip roof. And again, I would definitely suggest that after I kind of take a look at your initial A-size print of your 4 elevations around your floor plan, that you then do some sketching to adjust your information. Or I shouldn't say adjust, maybe to do some planning on what your house will look like, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a hip or a gable, but we generally have to figure out the slope of our roof, okay? And if we kind of take a look here at our house here, there's some features of a roof that we have to take into consideration, okay? The first one here, if we take a look more at more of a real picture here, we can see that there is a thing called an overhang, okay? An overhang. We can kind of see it up here in the top left, this picture here. We can see a little bit here where the roof extends beyond the walls of our house, okay? That's typically referred to as an overhang. Up there we have a couple of different items that would have names, fascia boards, soffits, rafters to decide what the roof looks like. But again, on our hip roof, we're going to go with a standard size overhang, okay? And that's kind of right down here under number 8, where we're going to be looking at somewhere between 12 and 24 inches is standard. We're going to be using 12 inches for a standard overhang, okay? You'll see down here we have a fascia board. Fascia board is the height of a board, a rectangular board that will help create or cover up the ends of our rafters. Rafters are the structural member creating the shape of our roof. So we're going to have a 12-inch overhang and an 8-inch tall fascia board. Again, these are standard generic sizes. There are a number of factors that would come into play as we are designing our house, okay? So let's start with that. So we need a 12-inch overhang and 8-inch tall. All right, so again, we're going to worry about a 12-inch overhang with an 8-inch tall fascia board. So what does that look like in AutoCAD? Doesn't matter which wall elevation we start on, but we're going to need to do this on all of the walls. And I'm going to do this on a roof layer. So in this case, I happen to have a red roof layer. I am going to change that color just for a little difference between our roof and our walls. So I'm going to pick something that's nice and visible like this green, okay? So just for simplicity, and I'm now going to start drawing on that roof layer. So the way I would do this is I would take a line, and I'm going to draw a line from that point over 12 inches. Okay? And you see it's not very large, and I'm going to go up 8 inches. Okay, and I'm going to come on back over this direction and left click to stop a line. Okay, so here, 12-inch overhang line, 8-inch tall fascia board. Do the same thing over here. I'll do a line from here, 8 inches over, 12 inches over, 12 inches over. And in this case, I can just find the intersection of these two, And then I'm going to use the fillet radius 0 setting and just trim that up. Okay, so I need to create a fascia board on all 4 elevations. Okay, let's do it a different way here. If you were so inclined, we could use the offset command and go offset 8 inches and offset this line up. I'm going to put that on the roof layer for reference. I can also then drag those endpoints out where I might want them to be. I could also, again, choose to draw a 12-inch overhang this direction, and where they meet, again, draw a 12-inch overhang and bring them up to where they meet. Use the fill command to trim them. Okay. And I'm only going to do 2 elevations here in our demonstration, but you in theory would do this on all 4 sides. Okay. So we've now just created our 12-inch overhang and an 8-inch tall fascia board. So now we have to have decided what roof style you're using. Again, I'll be demonstrating with a hip roof as it's a little bit more simple. And hip roof is going to have a sloped side on all 4 sides. Excuse me, in this case, we have 4 walls. We'll have a slope on all 4 sides of the roof. Okay. If we've got a house that's not a rectangle, well, that gets a little bit more involved. And the next thing we have to decide is the slope. Okay. The slope is rise over run when it comes to architectural drawing with roofs. Typically, the run is always going to be a foot or 12 inches, and then we have the rise. And if we think of those as inches, 1 inch rise for every 12 inches horizontal, or up to 24 or 2 feet rise for a 12-inch run. So the way we get rolling is we do need to start with our shortest side. Okay, and since we have a rectangular house, that would be either of these 2 elevations. Those are going to be our shortest sides. Once we've determined which is our short side, we're now going to start doing a line draw. Okay, and the way this would be recommended, again, we're on an angle here, so this might be a little confusing, is I'm going to start my slope line right here at the top edge of my fascia board. And I'm going to go up a particular number. Okay, this is going to be our rise. For the demonstration here, I'm going to do a 6/12. So I'm going to do 6 inches up. So I typed in 6, I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to go over 12. In this case, over is kind of like up. Okay, and so we're effectively creating a triangle, okay, with a 6-inch rise, which is this line, and a 12-inch run. So that would be a 6/12 slope. Okay, and I want to keep the slope line that I just created. I could certainly draw a line at a particular angle, but roofs are generally referred to in the rise over the run or their slope. Okay, so I did that on one side of the short elevation. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. So I'm going to go up 6, in this case, or over 6, and then down 12. Again, technically it'd be the run, and I'm going to go back to my starting point. And what I just created are 2 sloped lines. Now, these 2 slope lines come together somewhere up here where they meet. Okay? The easy way to get that information is use that fill command with a radius of 0, and I can bring these 2 lines together, and now I have the end view of my roof. At the same time, I have also just determined how high my roof will be. Okay? So I'm going to get a quick dimension here because this is important, this dimension. So if you use a 6/12 slope and your wall here is 28 feet with another 12 inches here, that's 29, 30 foot wide, and we have a 6/12 slope, you should see a 7 foot 6 inch dimension for the overall height of our roof. Okay? So what do we do now? Well, I could create a line here at a 45-degree angle. Okay, and that's just a generic 45. And I could be bringing a projection line down and a projection line over in order to transfer that information. Okay, and that's why it was recommended that you leave the space between the views the same. Because I already have this dimension right here, I don't need to do that. Okay, so I'm going to use that 7 foot 6 inches, and I'm going to do another offset, 7 foot 6. And I'm going to offset this top fascia board line up 7 foot 6 inches. Remember, our views have to make sense together. I had to use the side view to figure out what's called the peak. The peak is the highest point of our roof, and that is the same height here. Let's take a double check measurement from here to here, 7 foot 6. Okay. Now, again, let's take a look back at our example picture. What's a hip look like? Well, our hip's going to look something like, maybe more like this house. Okay, so we created this triangular surface already. We're seeing it in our side elevation, and now I'm going to create this trapezoid. Okay, and typically on roof, we're going to have the same slope on all the roof pieces. So I'm going to get the line command, and I'm going to go up 6 and turn to my ortho, over 12, back to my starting point. I can delete the lines I don't need. I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. Up 6, over 12, back to my start point. Erase the lines I don't need. And I should again be able to use the fillet command, where I'm going to have this line extend up to this green one. Again, the angled line extend up to this green one. Make sure you get the right side of the line. And I effectively just put a roof on 2 sides of my house. Again, Hawks, you want to do the same thing on the other 2 elevations. So you eventually have 4 elevations. Those elevations will include lines to represent the exterior walls, images to represent the approximate size and height of the doors and windows, and what the roof would look like while we are standing there looking at all 4 elevations of your house. In the next video, we'll talk about hatching and arrangement of views for a final print. Hope that was useful. We'll see you in the next video.